well, for now anyway, they've got 40 seconds left to make their decision.
I think they could. Like, you might not have, say, Alina that plays outside it. You've already locked in your supports, but Rubik could steal Empower. It's a fairly easy spell to steal from Magnus for the most part. Once you have
True.
that, your Faceless Void is pretty much aces if
That is
496
true.
wanted to. Still, they've dug deep into reserve. It's the Legion Commander first. I
Wow.
guess with the Oracle, guaranteed not to lose your duels at least.
True, and I mean there is value there, right? Like you've got the Purge with the press the
Hmm.
attack, even during the false promise. It's you can always guarantee someone's going to survive thanks to
Hmm.
that heal that comes out from the press the
Yeah.
attack.
5 seconds remain.
Also, very nice catch for the Void Spirit.
Yeah. If
But
you
who's
get the
picking
duel out.
Void? Surely you just take Void here if you're a droid. Like, why
Yeah.
wouldn't you take Void?
No reason not to, unless you're scared of the Rubik or the Oracle. But for the most part, again, you've got this Void Spirit to reach the back line. You've got the Magnus to deal with it as well. There's no reason not to. I think they don't have the choice for the PA. They go to Enchantress first. So dancing
Okay.
around the issue, but we have seen Enchantress support be really dominant in the right hands. You don't have anything valuable for it to go up against her, right? Like no Beastmaster, although this might be preemptive to sort
Yeah.
of
10
make it harder for
seconds
496 to
remain.
offer a Beastmaster, but they've got the Legion command. Like, they weren't going to switch out their
5
offlane anyway.
second radiant must choose.
Okay.
I don't
It
know.
makes it through eventually. It's like neither one really wanted it, and they're just like, all right, well, I guess I'll take it then if you don't want it. And
I don't know.
Adroit must have a game plan for this. Like they must be sitting there looking at that void, and they're like, "No, we know what to
10
do this time."
seconds remain.
Hmm.
Never rage quits.
What
Hopefully,
is it though?
hopefully.
5 seconds
What are you
remain.
doing here if you're a droid up against this faceless void that you've just left?
Well, for one, you don't have a way of drafting an Avenge here, unless you've got Void Spirit Magnus as cores already, so you're going to draft your next two supports. I'm just so curious why the Enchantress took priority. Like there was just no reason to skip the Void there if they were planning for it.
I don't
There's
know.
just nothing the Enchantress enjoys doing here in particular. It's so strange. And you mentioned it, Adroit is the team that drafts a bit weird.
Hmm.
This is way left field. Very left field. For their last picks, they've got options for say a Sven,
It is radiant
Ursa,
time.
Troll still in the pool if they wanted to, Monkey King instead. So that's another Empower combination. RP with Wukong's command is pretty strong. Uh, it's a bit tricky for it to really be maximized though. Up against the Void, I think it comes down to again Chronosphere being
10
thrown out, and the monkey just
seconds.
nothing here deals with Chronosphere.
And they might have the idea with it. They
5
just think
seconds.
we can outpace the side
Mhm.
of 496, right? Like Monkey King, Magnus, Void Spirit all get online during the mid game where the Void might need a
Mhm.
bit more
Mhm.
time. I still disagree.
Mhm.
However, I don't like
It's
where they're going with this. Adroit.
yeah.
That is Dyer's ban.
It seems
Mm,
unnecessary.
it does. It does really. What I'd like to see now to tie it up. Honestly, I'm not sure how they actually going to lane this as well. Enchantress 5, more than likely. Are we seeing a Void Spirit or Magnus support here? Like Magnus support with
10
Enchantress support,
seconds.
you're stuck in the same problem where you don't have particularly good
5
lockdown. You don't
seconds.
have particularly good lane control besides raw damage that the Magnus can bring, and perhaps a skewer back with the slows the Enchantress also brings. But it's just so strange if a droid closes out with a support again. I don't think that's what we're expecting. So it's either a Void Spirit or Magnus support
Radiant's
for a droid,
turn to ban.
along with the Enchantress, and a last pick potentially
Dyer's
mid here,
turn to
unless the
ban.
Monkey's going mid. But Monkey mid is a risk when 496 has last
Radiant's
pick.
turn to pick. Dyer's turn to pick.
Okay, they'll go for the Silencer last pickup. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Global Silence is a great spell.
It's a great spell.
Up against this lineup, though, I think you're just very vulnerable to say BKB
10
timings.
seconds
Adroit has to
remain.
be playing on the offensive. they've got some issues of cooldowns here, though, Mike. RP, Global Silence, and Wukong's Command, they have to play around those. Just absolutely perfect execution around that. And 496, the Lina again, the Lina Void, more than likely the
not?
Tor Lina now, though. So I believe Jokam Rubik, which is also a real treat to watch, unless it's a core Rubik, which is also not. So Hung, Lina,
Okay.
Jokam Rubik, that it's been so long since I've seen that. It's just gonna be a joy to watch that one. At
No, I,
least.
I love what I'm seeing here. I mean, it feels like this silencer, it's going to be quite important for the silencer to be able to get those global silencers off at those very important key moments. But if you're 496, I'm looking at that BB on this Legion Commander, and I'm just thinking, if I was this LC, I would be jumping in and finding the silencer every single fight and getting rid of him before the global silence even gets off. I don't know. In terms of laning stage, like you look at MCY's lane of the Monkey King, he should have a decent enough time, right? Like up against the LC, shouldn't be too hard of a lane. But when you look at the other lanes, John, you've got a mid laner who isn't going to lose the mid lane, and the bot lane, like Void Oracle, probably. I just don't see that losing either. It might draw out, but probably not going to be an outright loss by any stretch.
No. And I think that's really the real strength here for 496. Now, it does feel like, I have to give this props for Adroit. This is the Boomy Mag. And we've seen Adroit kind of pull that off, right? Like they've run the spot for Mag to great effect. The issue is timing. When we see Boomy Mag, we know that Boomy waits for Blink. Blink Arcane Boots is what he usually goes for. And then the eventual core build-up on the Magus. So that's a bit of a slower time. I think if Adroit can stall the game out, they've got solid chances of getting this draft to work. But 496, every single hero beyond Drew is just likely looking for those fights. Like we've seen them do this before with their Faceless Void. They just need to get that same playstyle, and we already saw them pull it off. So, in that sense, 496 looks a bit more stitched together, just repeating Game 1's plan. Adroit, the shakeup is a bit better. Like, they're not running anything silly for MCY, so perhaps Tino can start to show off some of his POS 1 muscles here.
Sure. See how it pans out. I mean, you definitely hope that Adroit has a better performance, compared to Game 1, because that was quite one-sided. Felt like 496 were just ahead the whole time. But this is another one of those drafts with Adroit where you kind of need to be ahead. You can't let the Void take over.
No.
It's too strong of a hero to take over. You can't control it once it's gone.
That was hot.
Yeah. And that was really the biggest downside for Adroit. They were playing a farming game. They didn't pressure the Void, so expect them to shift it out here. They are keeping Drew back, but it looks like it should be even on the bounty rings.
Standard start. 2 for 2. Looks like 496 might even consider running a bit of a trial lane down at this bot lane to get things started. And there is some first blood potential here to be had. Of course, Bombi with that Fortune's End can just root somebody for 2.5 seconds, and that can be quite effective. If they could kill off MCY like they did last game, it's going to be a nice laning start for the side of 496. Bombi's already in that perfect position to go for this, but MCY looks like he is a bit hesitant. He seems to know something might be wrong. We are going to have a quick pause out from 496. I do like the fact that MCY is being pretty cautious here, realizing Bombi is not showing on the map.
Yeah, it's just a smart play. He is alone as well in the Monkey, so you can't afford to overextend too much. And he's going to have to watch himself. Up top, though, they are making moves onto Drew. But the Faceless Void is just going to be fine trading hits. Is going to hold out in Time Walk, and CML's just going to get chopped away a bit.
Yeah. Bombi eventually TP's back up as well on the Oracle now, so just joining in. By the way, we never really talked about this, but it's a core silencer. Which I've been seeing in EU once again. I believe it was OG running it quite a bit. To mixed results, might I add. It
Yeah.
very on and off.
I think in this case for Adroit, the reasoning is Nico's going to get early levels, but Boomy's going to take over farm priority, which is sensible enough considering how Boomy likes to play as Magnus. So that should be the game plan for Adroit, but of course, I don't think that's going to change out how 496 approach this. It's just going to transition to a support silencer at some point with Boomy taking the core role. And Boomy now is just trying to give as much space as possible for Nico to rush his level. If Nico gets level 6 is a good point, I think you've achieved what you want in that offense.
Okay. So for now, I mean, Nico's just going to be fine. He can just safely farm the wave, that creep wave being so close to his tier 1 tower. But bot lane, the first blood does occur. CML able to pick it up there onto JoeCam, and they just chased him down with the enchant and the impetus and eventually took him out.
Yeah, and that's one thing you can't really discount from the side of Adroit. The damage from MCY early on with level 2 Jingu is massive. And again, you don't have the best range. JoeCam has to be careful with how far forward he is, because Monkey King is a melee hero, quote unquote. Very, very balanced hero to have against new lane.
Yeah. At that top lane, Boomy does fall extremely low on the Magnus, but is going to be alright. He's going to have to walk away for a bit. That mid lane is being somewhat dominated here by Hung on the Lina, which is to be expected. So he is forcing Mac to bring out a lot of regen on that Void Spirit. Hung is still leading in terms of CS as well, but again, it's just to be expected here on the Lina. Very, very hard to beat this hero in the laning phase.
It's not any easy for Mac. Like, Resonant Pulse only stops the right-click harassment, doesn't stop the spell damage with the LC and Dragon Slave, and Hong is just completely set up. Mac is forced to call for Boomy for a TP in to refill his bottle, and also salves up. So, as you mentioned, so many resources being expended. Boomy now going to have to walk his way up top, where, you know, Nico is finding EXP but not really finding farm. He is making it hard for Drew to find a farm as well. So in this case, you are seeing MCY pull ahead as a core compared to Drew, and that is a bit of a shakeup from game 1 to police here for Adroit.
It is. It's going to be very important as well. Like, again, the Monkey King is not going to be able to really outscale the Void during those later stages of the game, especially every single time they have Chrono up. It's going to be important for MCY to try and get the advantage he needs to pull through in the mid game. CML going to join back in here with MCY as they do jump that BB, but top lane Nico actually did end up dropping on the silencer, and they are unable to kill off the Legion Commander.
Yeah, it's just interrupted. It almost did line up for that BB, but he's just going to go home. Might be a bit more painful getting the long walk home and then the TP back, as that wastes more time. But that is space for JoeCam to soak some XP. So MCY gets some free farm, which is definitely what you want. You do not want to bleed up top, though. If you keep bleeding these kills to Drew, we saw what happened in game 1. The Void with a good start is also just really hard to manage.
He is. It's a dangerous lane, though. Nice skewer back here onto Bombi. Drew not really going to be able to help too much here, but Boomy will just continue the chase.
Radiant's middle tower.
See how much more damage he can get out onto this Oracle. Have the Shockwave. Goes for it, but Bombi going to turn back around with the Fortune's End and Purifying Flames. Drew will harass him out a bit more on his way out. Looks like Bombi's going to be fine anyway. He just salves up.
Radiant's turret.
It's,
The ultimate sacrifice.
It's a dangerous lane, because right now you just jump in like that with the Purifying Flames at level 2, and Drew should have the damage, or no, maybe he doesn't, but Bombi does. Now Boomy going to try and chase down Drew, but he is outrunning him, but here comes CML to try and help out, and it looks like he is going to have the damage output necessary to take down this Void.
It's a messy engagement. I think 496 are still happy finding the kill first. Not too happy about losing Drew though, but that does force the rotation top. So you freed up the bot lane.
Mid lane.
And down mid.
Yeah, Hung going after this Void Spirit. Does have enough for the Dragon Slave and does eventually get it off. That's a massive pickup there for Hung. It was a very aggressive play from our Void Spirit who used double Astral Steps to kill a Courier.
It's not a worthwhile trade, his life for the courier. You're gonna offset Hung's ferrying of items out, but Hung doesn't need anything. It's just something you don't want to see, although they are keeping the pressure top. I think this is where the Void Spirit needs to play next. Just try to find the side lanes, try to find these kills in order to play catch-up, but looks like for now, Mac might just want to wait for his level 7.
This may. Yeah, bot lane MCY still having a pretty good time.
Their structures against attack.
Doesn't really seem to struggle whatsoever here on this Monkey King so far. Definitely good news here for the side of Team Adroit. Looks like mid lane Mac, he might make that rotation now on the Void Spirit, giving a bit more space over to Boomy on the Magnus to be able to get some XP and farm for himself. Of course, he is going to want that Blink Dagger ASAP on the Mag to really be efficient and effective.
Yeah, there's a smoke here though. Hung is looking for something with Joe Cam.
He is. Tuna is up, but Joe Cam, no, they're going to jump Hung straight away. And in fact, MCY has joined in, but a nice LSA is there, and they might just blow him up. No, they didn't get the Laguna off in time. And Adroit look to clean up the side of 496 up at this top lane, as they do. CML with a double kill. Very close call there. They almost got the Laguna Blade off, but it just wasn't there in time.
Yeah, just a bit of miscommunication, and now Drew as well being caught out.
But be careful though, he does have that chrono available. That BB going to be around to help out. He has the jewel up, and he'd love to get a target. Gonna make a bit of a chase here. There you go. Chant will be there in time. Just purge everything off that BB and won't bother trying to chase any further. Ultimately, Adroit probably going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, they're building up now, 5-3, 2k lead on Adroit's side. Their aggression is starting to pay off. They've got these massive stacks with the Empower on MCY. You can start clearing them out and get that early farm up. 496, not quite finding the best opening, right? Like, they're not really farmed up on Drew. He's still saving up for Massive Madness. He's severely behind, and CML is just doing work.
Yeah, CML and Mac making it happen. Definitely a fantastic start here for Adroit. They just keep this up. You might just not see that farm on the Void. Like, Drew is a bit slower this game, right? He's just got the treads up. With a Wraith Band, but nowhere near really that Mask of Madness here. You look at the Monkey King, for example, he doesn't need much farm to be online. It's just trying to take as much of the mid-game as they can here on Adroit.
Yeah.
So they might be ready to start pressuring that top tier 1 tower.
And you're not in a position to fight for 496. If Bombi just TPs out, so they might look for the tier 1 tower trades. They are dragging the numbers down bot, but Boomy's already there to defend, so they're going to have to try to go for that kill first before they can take the objective.
Well, Chrono being committed down to that bot lane. They are going to go after the Magnus, and they do get Boomy. That tier 1 bottom tower is still standing, however. They don't exactly have anything like a siege trip. In fact, that Radiant Triangle, that BB on the run, gets stunned up by the Boundless Strike of MCY, and well, Mac just comes in and cleans up.
Yeah, it's a weird trickling down here for 496. Just not in the positions you'd expect them to be, and Adroit's just in a very good spot to abuse that. We talked about MCY not needing farm. He's at the level where, you know, you've got max level Boundless, level 2 Jingu, level 2 Tree Dance. You can really just work around a map, get damage off with the Empower. If you're going for the mid tier 1, there's no defense. 496, they're just forced to watch it.
They are. That BB, however, going to come back in, trying to defend the tier 1, but it is definitely just going to go down here. May as well just deny it at this point, and they won't. CML able to take the tier 1 tower gold. They do at least kill off Boomy, who was just caught out of position there on the Magnus. But if you're Adroit, you definitely don't mind that. You're pretty happy with the way things are going right now.
Oh, definitely. Like, it's lining up here. They've got 2 tier 1s already. There's no progress on 496 in taking these towers. The blink for that BB is a long way off, and they're going to need that on the LC to rip through the back line. as we were expecting like dual wins coming through to hold it back. Just not there yet. And Adroit, for their part, they've been maximizing this Boomy mag. Like, it's been working out quite well. You've got level 6 up on Nico, so he is going to transition into the support role, whereas Boomy is going to take priority now for farm into his Blink. And it's just ramping up. The greed from Adroit, their greedier draft at the least, isn't really punished, and their aggression has paid off. They've got control in their triangle, they've got the wards to watch the dire jungle as well. There's no safe spot here for 496.
Drew has been catching up now on the Void. Had the MOM up, going for the same kind of build into the SNY. Nothing too surprising there. That BB actually just going for the blink rush on this Legion. So he hasn't really been able to catch anyone out with those jewels yet. Just not really able to close the gap, especially while you have that Enchantress around.
No. It's extremely difficult, and you can see what they're trying to do now. 496 are sending 2 heroes bot to push, but you can see the line drawn. Adroit, they know these 2 heroes are isolated up top. Try to go for something here.
They will. Mac gonna show himself. They'd love that BB, but he's just running away a bit too quickly. They're not really gonna find the target they wished for up that top lane. Thing is, they still have the global silence, so they definitely want to start a team fight if they can. Bombi make his presence known in that mid lane, but they're not going to dive him underneath that tier 2 tower. Now going to have a bit of a pause here. Looks like Boomy's disconnected.
Yeah, just the typical issues. Savior. Thought it was Savior. Anyway, 496, you mentioned it, but you're still seeing decent upkeep here from Drew. 5.5, just about 300 off the mark from MCY, and Hong is actually maintaining the lead. So it's a 2k lead for Adroit, but it's not like 496 is too far behind. I still think Adroit is up because of the objectives they have. Like, they found a tier 1 bot now, 496, but they can't really make moves for the tier 1 mid, and Adroit is just in a really dominant position. They've just got control of the top jungle. The only one playing in this bot jungle is Drew, and he stands a bit of a risk. The wards they have aren't too far forward, so it's only watching this one ramp, which doesn't give full security for Drew. Leaves him a bit vulnerable. Adroit right now, they are just given free reign to really get this farm up. So the 4-stab for Nico, gonna be completed in a timely manner. The Yules for Mac, about 300 gold off. And once you've got this Yules on the Void Spirit, the self-setup in the burst is going to be really potent.
Nice Aether on it there to just preemptively block the way, as they did smoke up on 496. Double damage rune. Mac gonna try and go for it, but Hung, great LSA out, but the global silence is there immediately to ensure they could not get that jewel off. And Adroit is denying everything away from 496. It was a great setup, but just so quick on the fingers there on the silencer.
And it's not an offensive use, but considering the pace of the game, Nico doesn't have to be offensive with that usage. Like, even a completely defensive move like that is perfectly fine. 496 now, they're just clumped under jungle, but that's under vision. That they did manage to drop a T-ward, but
Bombi gonna get jumped on here. Looks like Mac wants to keep going now after that BB, but Hung will turn back around on the leader. But what a great RP out from Boomy. He's got the blink dagger out already, and that is going to be a lot of heroes going down, as the Laguna did nothing. Oh boy, that Boomy Magnus, he'll surprise you like that, John.
yeah, it's just this draft working out. The shift from Nico from core to support, you know, giving Boomy the space to farm, and we've seen teams make this mistake against Adroit so many times. But if you let Boomy farm on his playmaker hero, the Magnus, the Shaker, the Enigma, he just surprises you. And 496 now, still 2k behind, still not a massive amount, but you know Adroit smells blood in the water now. These sharks are ready to hunt, and Boomy is leading the way for them.
Well, 2K net worth lead here. So nothing you can't come back from if you're 496, and Drew is just kind of patiently farming away on the Void right now, trying to keep up. You wonder if the side of Adroit feel pressure at all to try and get more done. I mean, I realize we're only 16 minutes into the game, and it's still very early, but that Void scares me, John.
Yep. It's still way too close for comfort considering Drew's farming. And you've got this blink up now on that BB, and you have the Yields on Hung. They've got their own self setup. They've got this blink duel with a root damage coming in, with a false promise to save that BB. There's a lot of potential here to start building up. We need to see this burst in play. We need to see that BB throw his body out, have Hung to back up with the Laguna, and find some dual wins. And just kind of rinse and repeat while stalling out for your Void. If you can get that done, forces Adroit in a very awkward situation where they're not going to be too comfy, but they are smoked up. They've got the global silence up at the least, and they're going to have RP in about 8 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it's great timing here from Adroit. They might be a bit aware here, 496. I mean, everyone's missing off the map right now. Still hanging around bot lane, just surrounding Drew, make sure he feels safe, but it looks like they are going to catch out Bombi.
It's neither fair nor foul.
Not the target they wanted, for sure, but they'll just be forced to take it as it looks like they ran into him. Maybe you could try for a Roshan play. You have the Empower. They are going to try for it.
Should be a fairly quick one. Knack and our Monkey King and CY do hit pretty hard with Gloomy around, so it's going to be a fairly quick rush. They do have one laning ward, but nothing watching the pit here directly, 496. This might just be a free one, and it's going to be a missed opportunity for 496. They've got this Chrono, would have been perfect to play there.
Gonna get it done. Nice little Roshan play here out from Adroit. Team pretty happy with just chilling out. MCY just working towards that BKB. He wants that up before he goes any further. Hung looking for an opening here on this laner. Be cautious. Decides better of it. Doesn't actually go for any kind of play.
I was just watching Joakim, but he was just jumping around the tree line while MCY was as well. Two monkeys kind of rolling around the jungle, not finding anything, but hey, the stall out is still coming into play, right? Like Drew has the SNY, so we're reaching the same points for the Void. Still number 2 in net worth. So again, it's not too bad here for 496. They're still maintaining farm parity. The only person that's causing this gap is really that BB. That BB's farm is the disparity in 3K. You know, it's way far behind. We need to find a way to correct that. But for now, Adroit with Aegis up, trying to go for a tier 2 top. 496, shoving in the bot wave, but doesn't look like they're in position to defend top just yet.
Yeah, they really aren't. They just don't want to fight. It's going to be... Adroit's going to be probably wondering what's going on here. They're just finding free objectives across the map.
It's rather strange. Now, it is an Aegis they would have been fighting into, but Drew has been sitting on the Chronos a lot more this game. He was fairly aggressive with them beforehand, at least in game 1, but it's been a lot more passive here for Drew, just focusing on that steady farm. Now, there is a hunt here, though, Adroit.
Looks like they aren't going to be able to actually find out Hung. They could find someone else, like a courier, and even that BB jumps out of the tree just in the nick of time, MCY. They are going to just secure the kill onto Bombi as they will continue the chase onto that BB, but they have no way to cancel that TP. Meanwhile, Bombi actually TP'd out with the false promise. Is going to survive. Didn't even go back to the fountain, just back to that T1 bot tower.
Yeah, it's good stalling out here from 496. Again, they're still keeping that pace of buying out time. They're getting space out for Drew to farm that NPD. They do catch out Bombi, though.
Eventually getting him. Goes down anyway. Into that mid, or rather bot T1 tower now. Just another free objective to take for Adroit. They're just taking them for free right now.
Yeah. It's, I know. 496 again, just kind of sitting back, kind of chilling out, waiting to be bigger. It is a bit of a mistake. Like they've only got 2 outer towers left, and Adroit again with the Aegis, not feeling scared at all. They're also allowing Mac to build up into his Ags, 300 gold away from our Void Spirit Ags to be done. MCY is going into the Basher now, as he has finished up the BKB. So now your Monkey King doesn't really care for the Lina, not going to be worried about the disarm on that Oracle, and MCY should be able to get control unless he gets caught in Chrono, where you might have enough damage, but you also might not, as, again, Adroit just free reign to take this bot tier 2.
This isn't great news now. Like, you've got 2 forms of silence coming out for Adroit. It's going to be problematic for the side of 496 if they let this keep going. Drew hasn't got a BKB, nor is he farming one either. I realize you've got to press the attack to purge the silence from that BB, but if he's silenced, he can't really use it. So it's, I don't know about this. 496, they're being a little bit too patient, I think.
Yep.
Into the Oracle, they miss the Boundless. See why? Pop a bit of damage here as that BB thinking about going in, but never really does. Meanwhile, Mac trying to get started onto Bombi. Does catch him with the Aether Remnant, and well, Boomy will send him in with the Skewer. That'll be Bombi going down. Another kill for CML. Now the TP in from Drew, but it looks like they spotted it out, so they'll just kind of back off.
They do lose the Aegis by expiry, but that's just a reset now for MCY. They've still got all their spells. GS, Chrono.
Chrono is going to be committed onto our Void Spirit. He's actually just tanking it though. He's not taking enough damage. Drew is silenced up. He tries to run. He's going to go down. Hung trying to run a great RP out. Boomy straight into the Aether Remnant, and Hung, he does at least get the Laguna Blade off in time, but what does it matter? They're just chasing them down. Troy, it looks like they've officially had enough of chasing. They've already got the 2 main cores on the side of 496. They just really weird fight for 496. They just had no form of damage.
No, it's just not lining up. And, you know, JoeCam did steal the RP. They've got this option on hand for JoeCam in the next fight. It's just, it doesn't feel like it's going to make a difference. They've lost all their outer towers now on the side of 496, which means Adroit has basically complete control of this map. They've got free reign to farm up. They're just slowly building up here. You know, we're looking at the blink timing now for Mac, which will allow this Void Spirit to just constantly jump in and out. The Basher is done on MCY, so you do not want to just man fight against the Monkey King anymore. We haven't seen anything come out from that BB. He's had this blink, but he hasn't done anything with it. Like, we haven't seen a single duel fly out that BB's won, and we're at 25 minutes in. This is the longest time we've gone with no duel wins at all on an LC.
But it's one of those games that BB's trying to do it, but it seems as though his team is just not interested in fighting. He can't. Oh, look at this. He's been caught out by CMO. What a nice little trap being laid there by our Enchantress. And here comes the monkey, MCY. They continue trying to chase him down. It's a balanced strike off, but ultimately won't chase him any further. Once again, both teams just kind of, well, rather 496 is just avoiding any form of engagement.
Yeah. Like, at this point, I think you'd even look for just one-man Chrono pickoffs. They're lining up for CML.
Okay, they'll get the jewel off, and they should be able to get the kill, and they barely do. I do mean barely, John.
Although top
Top lane? Yeah, Drew cannot die like this. Mac, he's got the 8th Remnant. He has another silence in a second. And yeah, they just... That's tough. Losing your Void like that. I mean, you've got an Enchantress kill and you got a dual win, but that's really all you got. Just nowhere near worth.
Definitely not. And that BB is still happy enough, but they need more of that. They just need to keep finding these pickoffs, need to keep trying to build up and trying to get some space out for Drew to finish up the farm. Still saving up for that MKB here on Faces Void, but Adroit, they're just nipping at the heels now. You know, they're shoving in all the waves, trying to make it hard. And Joe Cam?
Yeah, goes for the skew up. Big greedy play there. And gets a repeat as well by Joe Cam. Steals the skewer away. Sends him underneath the tier 3 tower. Boomy getting outplayed by Joe Cam.
Oh, man.
It was a greedy play from Boomy, Johnny. Could have just let MCY jump in. Still, they are going to jump in regardless now, finding an even better target. That BB will go down.
Yep, and you're still dancing if you're Adroit. That's a pretty good kill to pick off. You know, Joe Cam was holding on to that stolen RP for so long. The least he did use it, but look at this. Invasion in the jungle.
Yeah, Bombi. Gonna get caught once again. Mac will catch him out. Just complete domination right now from Adroit.
Yeah, and it's not like it's a particularly fast game as well. 18-8. It's been about a kill per minute, although a lot of those were bumped up. 10k lead now for Adroit. You know, take a look at Dota Plus, Mike. 83% for Adroit now. 17% the way of 496. The opposite of game 1. So Adroit's fixed up their issues here. Specials are doing work. Boomy, besides that one death, has been on point here. You've got a blink up now for Joe Cam, though, and he is ready to smoke. He's also got Guardian Reed. Our Rubik is fairly farmed up. There's also an Ags out now on Hung, so pure damage coming through with the Laguna. And piercing through those BKBs at the least, maybe getting a bit more damage out. The wild card here is still Drew, right? Like, he's been stuck in this build-up towards the MKB. We need to see that item finished up. And we need to see 496. As they stall the game out, I think that's a good choice as the Faces Void. Again, Chronosphere late is amazing. At the same time, you're not narrowing down this lead. There's just been no progress in working the map, no progress in closing the gap, and that's just a worrying sign.
Oh, that BB's been caught out again. Mac going to be there with the 8th Remnant. Nico still a bit more in off the side of 496, or maybe not as choke cap. Let's just skewer away on the Rubik, and that BB does avoid the fight. In fact, they jump back in onto Boomy, who was trying to cut them off. The Yules, Hung, control up CML, and looks like they will be able to get the kill in the end. So they get 2 kills to the side of 496. While that's happening, you do have an Abyssal Blade coming out now on MCY.
So, MKB done though for Drew. So our Void's farm has kind of accomplished what it wants to. Gonna be the BKB next for our Faces Void. Gonna be important to have that, but again, you're fighting into Abyssal Monkey with a level 20 talents as well. So you've got a little bit more of a power spike here for MCY. I think Adroit shouldn't be feeling too bad. Be still ready to play in the offensive. Perhaps looking at the Roche next. They've got the Boomy Courier watching that Roche pit, so they know what's up. And 496, they do have one ward now watching the ramp. They could contest if they wanted to, but Adroit might just go for the safe objective.
No, MCY getting it started. Global Silence will be committed, but the Guardian Greaves make it harder now for Drew, jumping in with the Chrono. MCY looks like he will end up dropping. Drew now feeling very confident to just keep going. CML just in the middle of all this. Drew slowly going to take him out, as on the side they are chasing down Boomy. That BB doesn't have a duel available, but it may not matter as Boomy doesn't really have anywhere to go. Joe Cam lifts him up, and that'll be another kill going to the way of 496. Into the Roshan pit it is.
Adroit being way too confident this time around. MCY too far forward. They lose their big core. Suddenly the Roche is open here. H's Cheese going the way of 496. And Adroit from a 10k lead down to 7k. And this is the point where the Faceless Void is scary. We've been talking about the stall out for Drew for a long time. In fact, for the entire game. But this is the point where Chronosphere is just such a hard spell to play against. And once Drew has the BKB, he's going to be able to get it off. Although,
Max in with the 8th Remnant now. They might just have the control for him. Drew, False Promise is going to be there in time from Bombi, but Mac going to go after him instead. Might even consider continuing the chase onto this Void, but looks like Drew is going to get away with his full HP now.
I mean, it's a close call. Drew is maybe a bit too keen. Has to be a bit careful with how far forward he is. As long as he stays alive, though, I guess in the end it doesn't matter. But you can see Adroit, they are starting to set their eyes down for the Void, and Drew is sort of forced to TP out. The scan was there, but a bit too slow.
It was. Still Adroit, they are definitely still in the lead here in this game number 2. It's not by much anymore though, just 5k now. Definitely have gone down. Gonna go for a big smoke up and see if they can make a play while this chrono is unavailable. Gonna be up in about 25 seconds. But Drew does eventually get caught out here. Matt with the 8th Remnant, but the control there from Hung. Global Silence has been committed with the double silence flying out onto Drew, and Drew will lose the Aegis. MCY does not really have the Abyssal, but won't need it. The Boundless Strike wasn't enough. Hung trying to fight this out with the duel out from the LC. They do kill off Boomy. He's just going to buy back, or in fact, Drew is the one to buy back. Onto this Void Spirit, but MCY is there to try and help out Mac. He's going to survive. Hung will also survive, at least for a bit, but will probably end up going down. It does. Mac just finds another in the form of Nico. Drew does kill off Nico. Drew gonna go for a chrono, but the Boundless Strike's gonna be there into the Abyssal Blade, just buying so much time. Great plays out from MCY, but now he's in trouble. Drew kills him off. CML gonna be chased down as well on the Void, and he's gonna die. What looked like a pretty amazing play from our Monkey King, unfortunately ends up costing him his own life.
It's a massive trade away there for Adroit. They still maintain a 9k lead, but 496. They were forced to buy back to find some of those kills. So they're in a very on the edge situation here, as they need to make more stuff happen, but they can't afford to lose heroes while they go for these push.
It feels like they're gonna take the risk.
Yeah. It's their only opportunity in a long time, so they're going to go for the tier 2s. We've got Joe-Cam at least checking, but Boomy.
Go for a skewer back, and Joe-Cam is going to die. Fortification committed. Mac going to start running at them now.
Yeah. Force out that BB's BKB. Still keeping chase though.
Global Silence has been committed. RP not going to make it there in time, but they've got more silences to come here out onto Drew, but the False Promise is going to really save his life thanks to Bombi. Yule's up. Meanwhile, Boomy does go down to Hung. Jewel is out. They've caught out Drew, but they've got a Jewel off with the Mac. The problem is Mac kills them off. And all the while, Nico just keeps stealing more and more into Wave. A triple kill out for the Silencer. And a line being drawn straight through that mid lane. They want to have a go at that high ground.
Yep, this is a big opportunity for them. They know there were a couple of diebacks there in the last fight. You don't have a buyback on Drew. You don't have a buyback on that BB. It's just a very bad position for them to be in. And you still have this RP on Boomy. You still have the Wukong's command on MCY to zone them out. So they're just going to go for it. There's just nothing from 496 anymore to stop this high ground push for now.
They are hitting hard.
Oh,
Mac going to jump straight in after the Rubik, but decides better of it. Bot lane, they want to make a chase onto Hung, it seems, but can they make it in time to cancel the TB? No. It's going to be okay. Instead, MCY getting started once again on that bottom tier 3 tower. Already claimed that mid-racks. Still got a solid 30 seconds without that basis void as MCY, or rather, Mac on the Void Spirit does jump in, but Nico with the side device. Let's get on to Hung. Mac going to take care of the Oracle. Bombi go down. The secondary racks going down now for side of 496s. Do they want to keep pushing the limit here? Yes, they do. They'll smoke up.
Oh. Could be big. There is a chrono here for Drew.
Oh, they got to side the device off onto the leaner again. BKB, though, is going to be there in time. And now the LC, a great duel out. They caught the Monkey King, MCY. He will barely survive, getting the balance. But now Drew jumps in with the chrono, dishing out the damage, does eventually get him. But they're going to be worried by Nico, who is just whacking away at everybody on that silencer.
Oh
Look at the damage he's dealing right now. Jocam, the poor guy's just going to go down the back lines. Meanwhile, Drew forced to run away as the Impetus strikes do come out, but Nico does finally get taken out by Hung.
Oh,
It's a tough time.
That was a funny man fight to watch. Just you could see that Nico knew he was gonna lose, but he just kept trying anyway because he committed way too deep. Still, 496, 3 for 3. I don't know if you could call that a successful defense, but it does prevent their top racks from going. So I suppose there's that. It's a decent way of keeping Drew in the game. And that does allow him to kind of save up. Very close to the BKB now. Buyback is still like 3 minutes off, so I think he will just complete this item, and he does. Carries the recipe out, so Drew should have room here to try and fight in. Also very close to hitting level 25. Which is our backtrack talent potentially coming into play, or the AoE talent for the Chronosphere. Both ones are pretty impactful for the Void. So another small spike coming out for Drew afterwards. They're still playing against a 14k deficit though. And MCY, you can see how much effort it takes to lock him down. They needed the Chrono and they needed the damage from the Lina outside. Even then it was on the edge, as MCY was just living through a lot of that. So they need to be very, very cautious as they fight that Monkey King. But they hold out. They're going to stall out for more time. And, the Satanic on Drew should help the cause out just a bit more. But I think we really have to see that BB rip the backline. Like, the duels are where a lot of this starts to line up for 496. And, I mean, I'm looking at that, BB. It's still just 20. 20 victory damage so far. And, you know, you mentioned it, but there's 30 damage here on Mac. He has 10 more damage than the LC.
Yeah, it's not something you like to see if you're the LC player. Definitely not a very good feeling here. Wonder what the game plan is now for 496. We're about to find out. In fact, they've smoked up. They got a DD rune on Drew. Plenty of damage, but they're going to hope someone comes to the mid lane, apparently, but it's not going to happen.
Oh, that's unfortunate. They blocked the CML creep, so he knew something was blocking it.
Oh, Drew does run into Boomy. Another smoke to be
again.
popped. Maybe they would have seen that. They're just going to wait on the high ground now, but Jocam does jump in. Still, MCY does get in as well. Now the duel out. They got Boomy. A 1-for-1. Yule's out, however. They've fought out Drew, but he'll just chrono in the Wukong's command. Laguna being committed as well. They will eventually kill off MCY. Mac, meanwhile, going after Hung, does clean up the Lina. It's still looking pretty good here for the side of Adroit, as they've got to worry about Nico. He's got so much stolen in right now. And yeah, Drew just going to get chased down, and it's just 70 stolen in permanently. It's a lot of int, John. It's a smart man, Nico.
Yep. Big brain, as they'd say, Mike. Buyback forced out from Joker. He's the only one with buyback, too. That is not a spot you want to be in. He's not going to be able to do much besides shove out the waves. Third rush game, going to go to Adroit, and that's with a refresh. So we might see double Recon Command, double Global Silence, or double RP. A lot of options available here for Adroit. And 496, they're going to have some time to respawn, but they're going to have to play their hearts out as Adroit is looking for blood now with a 20k lead, 36-24 at 41 minutes in. They've just lined everything up. They've got this Octarine core on Mac that has really helped, and even the Blink has helped Mac really just get his positioning right. That BB, once you find Boomy, it's really darn good, but they need so much more, and they're now forced to buy back.
They do. Adroit, how confident are you feeling? Pings are coming out. Looks like they want to try for the high ground with that Aegis. You could try and wait for MCY's Eye of Skadi if you really want to. Looks like they could care less right now, Adroit. Mac going to jump in, force out the BKB from Hung, but they get the lift off in time with the duel out. They should have the damage with Laguna, but no, the Global Silence not allowing the Laguna to come out, so that BB is going to go down, but he will buy back. E3 tower's gone. Looks like they don't want to force anything further quite yet. Or maybe they do. Boomy, another great skew around. They caught the Lena. Hung's gone, and Boomy has refreshed. Got another RP ready to go. Joe Cam also has RP. RP, but no skewer. They get the Megas. RP out now from Joe Cam into Drew, who has the Chrono in a second, but he's been silenced up again. Needs that BKB to get off. They'll false promise him up. MCY right into the backlines after Bombi. He wants the Oracle down. Here comes our silencer. It's the big brain himself, but no, the Chrono's there. That was not the idea, Mr. Silencer. Boomy, he's the real big brain. He's hitting the damn melee barracks. He's just ignoring the whole team fight. Skewer back, Jewel is going to be there, but it just won't matter. 496, I believe they may have lost, unless Joe can. What a skew around into the fountain. They get CML, they'll actually kill off MCY. Matt, even getting 4-staffed in. Now MCY, get out of the fountain, sir. He's trying to make a run for it. Chrono, of course, is not available any longer, but he can hope for some passions. Joe Cam trying, but can't do it by himself. The balance strike is out. Drew's trying to fight back, but he is surrounded by 3 heroes. Maybe he can do it. He's trying, but he's been stunned up. There's no buybacks left apart from himself, and that's it. They've called it. They'll tie up the series 1-1 between Adroit and 496. And of course, we do have our final series, John, which also includes 496, this time up against Boom Esports.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting one to watch, but well played from Adroit in Game 2, bringing out the Boomy Mag. We talked about it. It's a hero he loves. Nico just switching into a bit more support. I say support. He was hitting like a truck at the end, just way too big. You want to know a fun fact, Mike? You want to guess how much mana Drew had at the end of the game? He had a mana pool of 500. Chronosphere cost 300. He had like 30 int at the end. Not a fun game for Drew and 496. I mean, we've been yapping on about what they had to do, but they played it so slow. There was no space made by that BB, and Hong couldn't make magic work with Alina. It just didn't line up there.
Well, with that, John, we are going to take a short break, and we're going to head off to our final series of the night. Again, it is going to be 496 Gaming again, but this time they are up against Boom Esports. And we'll see what kind of a fight they can put up against Boom. It's MLP Dota and JohnXFire. We'll see you all again very, very soon for that final series.